If you're over 60 and your body is sending you signals your doctor keeps calling normal aging, stop for a moment. The heaviness in the morning that sleep is not fixing, the skin that looks different in the mirror, the energy that used to come back and now does not. Your doctor may not be wrong that these things are real, but the cause may be living right inside your liver. And there are 8 specific ways the liver signals that it needs help that most physicians never walk you through. I am going to cover all 8 today. One of them surprises nearly every single person I sit with, and I have saved it for last. Stay with me all the way to number 1. I am glad you found your way here, my people. My name is Ezekiel Campbell. Most folks in these mountains simply call me Papa, and I have answered to that name for a long time now. For over 55 years, I have walked the paths of the Blue Mountains of Jamaica, learning the art of bush medicine from my grandfather, who received it from his grandfather before him. 4 generations of healers in my family. And across all of them, the same truth has held. My grandfather told me something I carry in my chest every single day. He said that all disease begins in the belly. When the belly is well, the liver has a fighting chance. When the belly is struggling, the liver labors alone, filtering waste it was never designed to carry by itself. Here is what my years in practice and what the modern laboratories have now confirmed points to most urgently for those of you past 60. The community of beneficial bacteria living inside the belly, the ones that manage inflammation, regulate bile flow, and support the liver's overnight repair work, declines sharply after 60. Scientists now confirm that adults past 60 can lose 50% or more of these bacteria compared to younger years. That loss does not announce itself. It arrives quietly, as fatigue, as bloating, as a face in the mirror that shows you something has changed. And here is what makes this particularly difficult to address with traditional remedies alone. Rebuilding that gut community requires 3 things working together. The beneficial bacteria themselves, which are the seeds, the prebiotic fiber those bacteria need to survive and grow, which is the soil that holds everything beneath, and the postbiotics, the actual healing compounds those bacteria produce inside the body, which are the fruit of a healthy garden. Take away any one of those 3, and the garden cannot give what it is meant to give. The liver is left doing everything alone. Most remedies address one of these requirements. A few address 2, very few address all 3. I will come back to this because it changes everything I am going to recommend at the end of this video. These 8 signs are how the liver signals that this cycle has broken down. Before we go further, one of these signs is going to catch most of you off guard. 9 out of 10 people I sit with have been blaming the wrong cause for years. Each sign builds on the last, and the way they connect tells you something important about how much time you still have to turn this around. Pay attention all the way to number 1. In this video, I am going to show you the morning heaviness millions of people mistake for poor sleep when the liver is actually laboring through the night. The eye and skin change most women over 60 attribute to everything except the liver, a digestive signal hiding in plain sight after every meal. The bathroom clue the old healers in my family checked before all others, a mood and mental signal that almost no one connects to the liver. A change visible right on the surface of the skin, a swelling pattern my grandfather called the body's last warning. And at number 1, the master sign that ties all 8 together, and the answer I spent 2 years searching for to give you something real to do about it. Number 8, the fatigue that a full night of rest cannot fix. This is the sign most dismissed. Folks call it age. They say this is just how things are now. But there is a clear difference between the tiredness of a full day and a liver that is laboring through the night without enough help. The liver filters close to 2 quarts of blood every single minute, a process the scientists call hepat detoxification. When it is overwhelmed, waste products linger in the blood the way sediment clouds a spring that can no longer flush itself clean. Nothing comes through as it should, and the body carries that weight into the morning and beyond. After the age of 60, the liver's filtering speed has already dropped 30 to 40% compared to younger years. What once cleared overnight now lingers for days. Begin each morning with the juice of half a lemon in warm water, taken before any food. The old healers called this waking the organ before the meal. Pair it with 5 minutes of slow walking after breakfast, which encourages bile to move through the ducts and helps the liver release what it has been holding through the night. But as telling as the fatigue is, the next sign shows up where the whole world can see it, and almost nobody connects it to the liver. Number 7. A yellowish cast settling into the whites of the eyes, or a grey dullness spreading through the skin that was not there before. Folks notice this in the bathroom mirror and blame the lighting. They move on. My grandfather never moved on from this sign. He called it the liver's color. The liver breaks down a substance called bilirubin, left behind when the body recycles old red blood cells. When the organ is burdened, bilirubin builds up in the blood and begins to spread into the tissues, the way paint seeps from a container that has finally overflowed. After 70, the ability to process this substance slows considerably, and even a mild backup begins to show on the face and in the eyes in ways that were invisible at 50. Dorothy was 71, a retired school teacher from Toledo, Ohio. Her daughter noticed the change in photographs before Dorothy herself did. 2 different doctors had each reassured her this was simply aging. She began steeping dandelion root tea daily and committed to finishing her last meal by 7 each evening, giving the liver the overnight rest it needed to do its work. Within 10 weeks, the yellowish cast in her eyes had faded noticeably, and her mornings held more energy than they had in over a year. But the full shift, the morning she looked in the mirror and recognized herself completely, came after she added a daily gut supplement to her routine. She wrote to me and said, "Papa, the dandelion tea got me most of the way there. Adding support for the gut underneath everything got me the rest. I had not expected that to make such a difference. But looking back, it makes all the sense in the world. This matters because after 60, the gut bacteria that help the liver process bilirubin are among the first to decline. The herbs support the organ. The ecosystem underneath it must also be rebuilt for the work to complete." I will tell you exactly what Dorothy added when we get to the end of this video. Steep dandelion root tea for 10 minutes each evening. Add bitter greens, arugula or endive to 1 meal each day. And if you are noticing yellowing in your eyes or skin, please bring that to your doctor as well. The next sign is one most people walk around with every single day, blaming what they had for lunch, when the real cause runs far deeper. Number 6. Bloating that returns after every meal, or a heaviness pressing under the right side of the ribs. When the liver slows, bile production slows with it. Bile is the liver's key to digestion, the way a lock cannot open without the right key turning. Without enough of it arriving at the right moment, food sits in the digestive tract longer than it should, ferments, and produces pressure and gas that return no matter what a person eats or avoids. After 65, bile production can fall by as much as 25% compared to younger years. The tradition in our community addressed this first, always, with foods that coaxed bile to move. Take a 5 to 10 minute walk after every meal. A small amount of apple cider vinegar stirred into water about 10 minutes before eating prepares the digestive tract to receive food properly. These 2 practices, done consistently every day, begin to shift what the belly has been holding. But bloating is only part of what this sign is telling you. What the bathroom reveals is the clue the old healers in my family checked before all others. Number 5. Dark amber or tea-colored urine, or stool that appears pale or clay-like. The liver gives stool its familiar color through bile pigments. When the organ is overwhelmed, the color of both urine and stool begins to shift. Urine darkens because bilirubin is being cleared through the kidneys instead of through the liver, the way water reroutes through a secondary drain when the main one is blocked. Stool lightens because bile is no longer reaching the digestive tract in proper supply. The old healers took this sign as a direct message and never waited to act on it. If you are noticing this pattern, please speak to your doctor. Some conditions that cause these changes need medical evaluation alongside any traditional remedy you begin. The clinic and the old ways work together here. Beetroot has been used in the Blue Mountains for generations to encourage circulation through the liver and help the organ move what it has been holding. A small glass of beet juice 3 times each week, or beets cooked simply with a little lime juice, is a gentle and consistent support. Pay attention to your first bathroom visit each morning. Your body has been leaving you messages there for longer than you may have realized. The next sign lives somewhere most people never think to look when they are trying to understand what is happening to the liver. Number 4. Aching in the joints or muscle discomfort that seems to move from one place to another without any clear cause. When the liver cannot clear inflammatory compounds from the blood, those compounds settle into the soft tissues and stay there. Inflammation that should pass through and leave instead circulates and finds a home. The laboratories have now confirmed what my grandmother watched quietly for decades. When the liver's filtering slows, inflammatory compounds accumulate in the joints and muscles and produce exactly this kind of wandering, sourceless pain. The old ones called it the fire looking for a place to rest. Turmeric root, taken as a tea or stirred into warm milk with a small pinch of black pepper to help the body absorb it. Half a teaspoon in the evening. 30 days of consistency before drawing any conclusions. What the tradition always taught was this: measure healing in seasons, not in days. Before we go further, a brief word. If this video has been useful to you so far, please subscribe to this channel now. I cover traditional liver and gut health for older adults every week, and subscribing is how you make sure you do not miss what is coming. It takes 2 seconds and it helps this information reach more seniors who are searching for it. Thank you. Now let us keep going because we are getting close to the most important part of this video. Number 3, a mood heaviness that arrives without reason, or a brain fog that settles in by midday and does not lift. The liver processes over 100 hormones that influence how the mind feels from 1 hour to the next. When the organ is overwhelmed, serotonin precursors and spent estrogen metabolites linger in the blood far longer than they should, the way exhaust fills a room when the windows have been shut for too long. The brain receives these circulating compounds and responds with heaviness, with slowness, with a sadness that has no clear source. My grandfather watched this for 60 years and said it plainly. An elder who cannot think clearly by the afternoon often has a liver that needs attention before anything else does. Arthur was 69, a retired postal worker from Burlington, Vermont. He had carried what his doctor called mild depression and an afternoon mental slowness for nearly 2 years. He began milk thistle tea each evening and set a consistent meal window, finishing his last meal by 6 each evening. Within 6 weeks, his afternoon clarity had improved by roughly 50%, but it was 3 months into his routine, after he added the same gut supplement Dorothy had used, that his wife told him he seemed like himself again for the first time in years. He wrote to me and said, "Papa, the milk thistle gave me back half of myself. The other half came back when the gut finally healed underneath everything. I had not expected that, but I understand it now. This is why the belly must be addressed alongside the liver itself. The milk connection runs through the gut as surely as it runs through the organ." Milk thistle tea, 1 cup in the evening after the last meal. 6 weeks of steady practice before expecting to feel the shift. We are almost at number 1, but this next sign is the one that shows up on the surface, where everyone around you can see it before you do. Number 2, tiny red dots or small spider-shaped veins appearing on the chest, the arms, or the face. The liver regulates estrogen, and estrogen in turn governs how blood vessels grow and maintain themselves. When the liver is burdened and estrogen levels rise, the body sends a signal to grow small new blood vessels near the surface of the skin. These appear as tiny bright red dots or as thin branching lines just under the skin. They are not cosmetic. They are the liver asking for help through the only window it has that you can actually see with your own eyes. My grandfather recognized these on sight and began liver support immediately, because in his experience, when the body writes its messages on the surface of the skin, it has been sending those same messages from the inside for a long time before anyone finally listened. Sunflower seeds, almonds, and a daily handful of dark leafy greens all help the liver clear estrogen excess over time. Months of consistency. These signs do not appear in a week, and they do not clear in a week. And now we arrive at number one. Number one, a belly that swells and stays swollen. Not from food, not from gas, from fluid that the body can no longer move on its own. I have saved this for last because it is the most serious, and because understanding it changes everything about what I am going to tell you next. Folks put this down to weight gain. They blame what they ate the night before. They buy clothing with more room. What they may be seeing is something the medical world calls ascites, an accumulation of fluid in the abdominal cavity that happens when the liver has lost enough of its function that it can no longer produce the proteins needed to hold fluid inside the blood vessels. The fluid escapes and gathers in the belly. In plain terms, the liver's output has fallen far enough that the body's most basic fluid regulation is failing. Modern medicine, across decades of observation, has confirmed that this kind of abdominal fluid in adults past 65 is one of the clearest indicators of advanced liver stress. My grandfather said it without the Latin terms. He said when the belly fills with water that will not move, the body is done whispering. It is speaking in its loudest voice. Frances was 73, a retired bookkeeper from Charleston, South Carolina. She had watched her belly grow slowly over 18 months and had been told by 2 doctors it was likely related to weight gain. What was overlooked was the specific pattern of the swelling, always returning by evening, always concentrated in the lower abdomen, leaving her legs heavy by 4 in the afternoon, and her breathing slightly shorter than it had ever been before. She began the full daily protocol: morning lemon water, dandelion root tea each evening, milk thistle after the last meal, beetroot 3 times each week, bitter greens every day, a consistent meal window from 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Over 3 months, the evening swelling had reduced by roughly 70%, and her legs were lighter by midday. But the final shift, the one she had quietly stopped expecting, came when she added the same gut supplement that Dorothy and Arthur had added to their routines. She wrote, "Papa, I thought I had gotten everything the herbs had to give. Then something lifted underneath that I had not been able to reach on my own. That was the piece I had been missing. If you are seeing this belly swelling pattern, please bring it to your doctor as well. This level of signal needs both the old ways and the modern clinic working together." Now, after 55 years of watching what separates the people who fully turn this around from the people who only get most of the way there, I want to tell you something I have been building toward this entire video. The herbs work, the lemon water works, the meal window works. In my experience, they bring most people 70 to 80% of the way to where they need to be. And then the body hits a wall it cannot break through on its own. I watched this for years before I understood why. What I finally understood is this: the gut bacteria responsible for completing the liver's overnight work cannot rebuild themselves on herbs and meal timing alone. Not after 60, not after losing 50% of that bacterial community. They need 3 things working together: the seeds, the soil, and the fruit. And after 60, the body has lost the ability to generate all 3 by itself. 2 years ago, I began searching seriously for what addressed all 3. I tested several products over that time. Most fell short on at least one of the 3 requirements. Some had the probiotic bacteria, but lacked the prebiotic fiber those bacteria need to survive. Some had the fiber, but produced no postbiotics. None were designed for someone who had already grown weary of swallowing 5 capsules a day with a full glass of water. I was not going to recommend something that people would stop taking in 2 weeks. What I landed on after that search is called BoochBod. It is a kombucha gummy berry bliss flavor, taken once each day, 1 gummy in the morning. That is the entire practice. It brings together what the belly needs as one: the lactose-poor probiotic, prebiotic fiber, and the postbiotics LM1004 postbiotic, alongside kombucha, dandelion root, and slippery elm, roots that island healers like my grandfather gathered from the land for generations. Over 30,000 people are already using it. Third-party tested, non-GMO, and vegan. Dorothy used it, Arthur used it, Francis used it, and what you heard from each of them is not a coincidence. BoochBod stands behind this with a 60-day guarantee. If you try it and do not feel the difference within 60 days, they return every dollar. No questions asked. That is the confidence behind it. And it is why I was willing to put my name beside it after 2 years of looking. The link is in the description below whenever you are ready. As I always say, speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. These gummies work alongside the herbs, the meal windows, and the daily walks I have described today. They are not a replacement for those practices. They are the piece underneath everything that the body after 60 cannot fully rebuild on its own. After more than 55 years of watching what actually makes the difference, here are 3 principles that separate real results from good intentions. Consistency over intensity. 1 cup of dandelion root tea each evening for 60 days does more for the liver than 3 cups a day for a week, followed by nothing. The liver responds to rhythm, not to heroics. The meal window matters as much as what you eat within it. A 10 to 12-hour window with no incoming food gives the liver the time it needs to move through its own repair cycle. Last meal by 6 or 7 in the evening. For most people, nothing again until morning. Bitter before the meal, not after. A few leaves of arugula or a small glass of diluted apple cider vinegar 10 minutes before eating prepares the liver to release bile before food arrives. The sequence matters in the old ways because it matters in the body. 3 mistakes most folks make when they begin: starting everything at once. People hear about dandelion root, milk thistle, beetroot, and turmeric and add all 4 in the same week. The body cannot tell you which is helping. Begin with 1 practice for 2 weeks, then add the next. Let each one speak before the next joins the conversation. Expecting quick change. The liver's signals appear slowly and they clear slowly. A yellowing that took a year to build will not reverse in 14 days. The tradition measured healing in seasons, and those who stopped after a month because they did not yet feel different were often just about to arrive, leaving sleep unaddressed. The liver does most of its repair work between 10 in the evening and 2 in the morning. Staying up past midnight consistently disrupts this cycle, regardless of what remedies are taken during the day. Sleep is the oldest medicine, and no root or tea replaces it. My people, we are coming to the end of our time together today. What you are protecting is not a number on a lab result. You are protecting the morning when you bend down to tie your shoe without holding on to anything. The Sunday call with the grandchild whose voice lights up the moment they hear yours. Those things are worth every cup of tea, every walk after dinner, every meal ended an hour earlier than before. It is never too late. I have watched bodies begin to shift at 75, at 80, at 82 years old. The liver is one of the few organs in the body with a genuine capacity to renew itself when given what it needs. You are not a passenger in this. You are driving, and you have more road ahead of you than you may believe right now. Here are the 8 signs one final time. Number 8, the fatigue that sleep cannot cure. Number 7, yellowing or dullness in the eyes and skin. Number 6, persistent bloating after every meal. Number 5, dark urine or pale stool. Number 4, wandering joint and muscle pain. Number 3, afternoon brain fog and mood heaviness. Number 2, Tiny red dots or spider veins on the surface of the skin. Number 1. A belly that fills with fluid and stays. The link for BoochBod is in the description below. 60-day guarantee. 1 gummy each morning. If you are ready to address the piece that the herbs and the meal windows cannot fully reach after 60, that is where to start. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do that now as well. And I will see you in the next one, my people.